Right, anyway, guys, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. You know this bloke.
Hello.
Yep. Can't I get rid of you? You see me crop up in every bloody video I make these days.
Well, you know.
Ding! You're like that character. What was it, Mr. Ben, the shopkeeper? You remember him?
I was tempted to exit the stream then to teach you a lesson. I'm only here because you invited me. I would never ever push my way in.
You're absolutely right. I did. So thanks for joining me.
Yeah, you're right,
mate. How are things yourself? You all right?
Yeah, I'm grand. Well, I say I'm grand. You know, I was telling you I was having trouble with the new guts I bought for my arcade cabinet.
Aye, so what have you actually bought? Why have you upgraded it? Or I think upgrade, yeah.
I had like a 10 or 12-year-old PC in there, just the motherboard and the graphics card and hard drives and that. And I was noticing I've got a drawer at the front where the keyboard and the sound controls and that are. And I was noticing it was quite warm when I was opening the drawer up. And the monitor I've got in there gets warm anyway. But I've got two fans at the top that draw air out. So I'm not really worried about that. And I thought, why is it getting hot? And then I was playing, I think it was, is it Bubba Luca or something? One of the games we was playing on the last lot of high score kerfuffles. And every now and again, main would just lock up and go, and then just completely stop, and I'd have to power switch off. And I thought, well, this ain't no good, and it was happening more and more. So I bought a new motherboard and a new processor, and I bought an SSD hard drive. Right, I thought everything's lovely because my boys bought one of these motherboards, and I've bought one a couple of months back for my other computer. I don't need masses of power; it's powerful enough. You know, it runs Gradius 4 at 100%. That's good enough. So I installed Windows on it. I copied all my emulators across, and I was trying to run Visual Pinball because I do like pinball. And my arcade tank stick thing I've got, my X Arcade, has got pinball buttons on the side of it. That's why I bought that controller. And I was loading it up, and every time a table would load up, either something was wrong or it just crashed. But instead of just crashing, it would completely restart Windows right back to the BIOS, like boot up. And I was like, this ain't right. So I've installed Windows a few times on it. I've really fucked about a lot with this over the last 2 weeks. So today I thought, cunning plan. I took the SSD out of the arcade machine, disconnected all the hard drives in my PC with the same motherboard, plugged it in, loaded it up, made sure because I've got a portrait monitor in there, made sure the screen was sideways. So I had to sit sideways to get used to the mouse going up, put the hard drive in, loaded up pinball. Even though it was awkward to play, I had 4 games with no issues at all. Nothing crashed, no problems. I thought, yeah, this is odd. So I thought, well, maybe I've just been lucky. Went back to the arcade machine, plugged it in, turned it on, Windows loaded, loaded up the pinball game, off it went again. And I'm like, I've done a memory test with the free memory test program you can get that you do before Windows even loads. I've checked the hard drive. I've done 3 installs of Windows. I've ponced about enough, so I basically thought, well, I've got enough time. So I sent the seller on Amazon. It's a company, but I'm not going to fault them. You know, things can turn up broken. It's just one of them things. Cool. That's 3 I've had, and 1's been faulty. So I sent them a message saying, look, this is what's happened. Can you help me out before I start the procedure of a refund from Amazon? Because it's like 200 quid's worth. All right, it's not a great deal of money to some people, but it's a lot of fucking money to me. So yeah, I've reached out to them, and I should hear from them either tomorrow or Monday, hopefully, see what they're going to do. If I don't hear anything, I'll just send it back via Amazon and get me 200 quid back. But it just means I might have to put the old crashy motherboard back in, because normally my mate comes round on a Friday and we play on the arcade machine and stuff like that. So it's going to be a bit of a boring one. We sit in the dining room playing arcade game till my missus goes to bed. Then we normally come in here and watch YouTube or play games or whatever, you know what I mean, and have a laugh. So we're just going to have to sit there and actually talk if the arcade machine's not working.
Perish the thought.
There you go. There's the woe with the arcade machine. So that's why I haven't put a score in the high score thing. Fortunately,
I've not even taken part in it. I've not even really been keeping up to date with it at all the last 3-4 weeks.
Well, the latest game that Lewis has chosen was, I think it might have been one of Andy's. It's Aliens, the arcade game. You know, the sort of scrolling beat 'em up one.
Right.
I've got experience of playing that, so I reckon I should be able to knock out over 200,000 on it. But only if I've got an arcade stick, so I might have to dig out my arcade fight stick and somehow stick it to the table so I can play it on my big telly. That's why I normally post a score on the first day, and then maybe one every couple of days as I get better again. But I haven't posted anything this week because I haven't had my machine to play on.
Yeah. Is that what you play most of the challenges on your arcade machine? Yeah.
Yeah, the only one I didn't do it on was pole position because I can't remember if it was Lewis or Colin pointed out you could use a mouse, and I found the mouse was a lot less hassle than setting up a steering wheel or using a trackball or joystick. So I was doing that with a mouse in here in my front room on my big computer. I think I got second or third on that challenge, so I did quite well, really. So,
what was your final time? Was it about 66 something? Was it? I think
56-17 or something like that.
I think it was. That was kind of good stuff. A word of warning to Lewis: never ever pick Gallagher, because a resident genius, Mr. Charlie Farr, he posted a video last week. It was something like an unofficial world record, something like 4 million. Never post any vertical shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, that's a shame. Some of my games are vertical shoot 'em ups.
Absolutely bloody insane. Talking of hardware woes, I've had a couple myself. Although one I knew. I mentioned I bought the Vectrex. I can't remember how much I got it for. I got it for a good price. I got some, what was it, 7 games plus the Vectrex. It was 150 quid or something. I managed to sell one of the games I didn't have, so I kept that, and I managed to sell other games for 100 quid.
That's all right.
I kind of got a broken Vectrex for 50 quid. Now, we know a very, very helpful chap.
You're going to send it off to Argy, aren't you?
It arrived today. In first impressions, he reckons it's a new transformer. Plus, he's going to recap it. So all in all, it's going to cost me, I think, about 70 quid, something like that.
That's not bad for Optimus Prime, is it? Carrying on a joke from the other day.
Aye, exactly. That's not bad at all. I mean, these things, are good. In fact, I mean, if it's recapped and it's fully working, I'll probably tempted to hang on to that one as my working machine, because I don't think the other two that I've got haven't been recapped in their life.
The thing is, if it can be fixed, Argy will fix it for you, mate, because he's just, the tellies are his thing. Screens, CRTs, monitors, they are his thing. So, yeah, that's why I sort of pointed you in that direction. You know him anyway, so.
Yeah. I was actually more impressed the fact that it turned up not smashed the fuck. Have you had any experiences of things buying stuff and them being completely broken? I don't mean not working. I mean smashed the fuck.
Well, not smashed the fuck, but I bought 2 64Cs last year for I think I got them both for 26 quid, and they weren't packed very well, and the plastic case on one of them was a bit smashed in at the back. But I had a spare case, so I just did a chop and change. I've got all the bits, so I could probably, with a bit of liquid poly and some super glue and some sandpaper, I probably could jigsaw it together. Yeah. But I could not be asked the day I was putting them together. I thought, no, I'm going to use the other one. It's just easier.
I mean, the only experience I've had in being really badly broken was it was when I got my Atari 800. It was this young guy was selling it, and it was Atari 800. And there was also an Atari 400 as well, plus I think 2 disk drives, shitload of games, discs, you name it. And when it arrived, I mean, it was literally a fucking huge, big, massive box. And the 400 was it's like somebody had taken a hammer to it and just had a huge, big, massive hole in the back of it. So fortunately, I think I got £100 back from it. I mean, basically, I didn't. Did I know I was getting? I think I did. I knew. I mean, I got it for a cracking price for everything, and I managed to get, I think, £100 back from whoever it was, the courier, back for it. And then I just sold it. I managed to kind of glue it together, sold it, and then I managed to get myself a second or a further Atari 400. But it is annoying when these things happen. I mean, I wasn't confident that the Vectrex was going to arrive in one piece, but I just put fucking loads and loads and loads and loads of bubble wrap that if it was going to get broken, somebody would have to have literally dropped it.
Well, I mean, your package. I mean, blimey. I remember when I bought them Commodore 64s off you the other year. It turned up. I think I had half of Scotland's supply of plastic and paper in that box.
You can't have too much. That was the first failure, and the second failure is, I don't know if you remember. In fact, you can't see it because it's not there. But on that shelf up there, whatever it is there, kind of up there,
yeah.
My NVIDIA Shield portable.
All right.
Clamshell. Went to use that last week. I thought, it's needing charged. Plugged it in, left it overnight. Fucking went to switch it on. Nothing. You plug the charger in, and you press the on button, and it just flashes for a second. So I left it charging up all day. Nothing. Tried to do the reset and all that. My girlfriend, she's kind of friendly with a guy that owns a mobile phone repair place. So I handed it in to him at the weekend, and he's come back and he reckons it's a chip. He says the chip's gone, he can't fix it.
Really? So, that sounds just like a knackered battery. I was just about to say, can't change the battery.
Well, that's it. But he reckons. So what? Because I'm an impulsive bastard. I went on eBay, and there was like, they go anywhere between 150 up to 250 quid. They're quite hard to get. And there was one, buy it now, 120 quid. And I'm like, there must be something wrong with it. It must be damaged. Went in, 120 quid, buy it now, free delivery. You know, this is in good condition, few scratches on it. Fuck it, I'll have that. So I've already bought a new one because I want to have it. I was gutted when this thing, I always say that this thing was bulletproof, but quite cool.
And you've got like a GPD XD and that new Power Kiddie thing and that do exactly the same thing.
I've not got the Power Kiddie. That's the one. I've got other things. I mean, I've got other things up there. I've got
the RGD 350 or something. You did a video this week on it.
Aye, the amber neck thing, but that was 60 quid, and it's the NVIDIA Shield is slightly faster than the GPD, and it's got fantastic controls. I'm always terrified that my GPD stops working because that happened with me. One day I went to use it and it just wouldn't come on.
Yeah, well, there is a shop in Germany that don't charge a lot of postage that do a complete range of bits for the GPD, from batteries to D-pads to thumbsticks to all the buttons, screens. They do a lot. I think they do everything, but they might even do the physical cases now. I don't know. I know they did replacement hinges because the first ever batch of GPDs, I mean, I've got the first model, but I haven't got one from the first batch. Apparently the hinges go really loose on them, so they end up swinging about.
Aye.
But this website does everything. Like, if you still had your one now, the battery had gone, I would have said, buy a battery from there and get your mate to have a look at it for you. The guy that sorted out your Spectrum flip top thing. So, yeah, Neil. So, I mean, before you get rid of stuff, have a look now. There's so many places that do spares.
Stuff. Aye. Is your GPD still going all right? Yeah.
Yeah. I did the when we was doing one of the other high score kerfuffles. I was having trouble playing columns on the arcade machine because it's like a Tetris game, and to me that should be like that. So I did that challenge for that one. I did that on my GPD. I think I only came like 5th or 6th, but I was getting nowhere on the arcade machine. I just could not get used to playing one of them puzzle games on a big screen. So yeah, I still use it, mate. It's it don't get used that much. I think I've probably played Beam Rider or is it Grid Runner? Well, whichever one it is on the Atari 2600. That's probably the game that's been played most on it. Great technology, and I'm playing VCS games.
But it's like somebody I saw it on Facebook. You get this brand new. In fact, it was one of the guys in Discord. He's just lashed out all this money upgrading his PC, and the first things he does is load up MAME to see how well it runs a certain game.
That's exactly what I did with that arcade machine. When I it run most of them. One of the first things I did was turn all the scan lines and everything off of Gradius 4 and Time Crisis to see if they run at 100%. After we had that conversation months ago about the newer graphics cards and the newer MAMEs working together for the 3D, and it does. It runs at 100%, then it crashes. So but the other machine does it all right, so it's good.
Gradius 4, is that an arcade, is it?
Yeah, it's in MAME. It's even harder than Gradius 3. Because one of the levels you're shooting through this thing and you're like across the screen. It's a it's a 3D one. I can show the listeners if you want, but it's
bring it up if you want. Bring it up. Is that? I don't think I've played that. So is that quite a kind of processor hungry MAME game? Is it?
Yeah. All right. Let me load it up. Then I'll share the screen. I'm not going to play it because my controller's over there, but I can flick through for the demo mode.
Just while you're doing that, so have you got any other handhelds at all? Have you got any original Game Boys or Lynxes or anything like that at all?
I have got a Nintendo DS. And that is it. A DS. I've got me GPD, and I've got an HTC One M8 mobile phone that's got front-facing stereo speakers that I use in a little clippy controller, and that is it for my handhelds. I mean, I've got on my actual phone. I know it's got on-screen controls. I've got like the PC Engine emulator and a few other things.
How do you find touch controls? I just find them completely, utterly unusable.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was a fan, to be honest.
See, if you think about it, if you actually think about a touch-sensitive control that you use your thumb, in theory, you think that would be the best ever control, wouldn't it?
Well, you think so, wouldn't you?
Responsive, but
I'm now trying to find where my mouse pointer is so I can share this screen.
I can certainly hear it. But yeah, I mean, I've got, I've got Game Boys, I've got all the original kind of stuff. But the thing is, people say, oh, I prefer to play it in the original hardware. I make exception for handhelds because why would you want to play a Game Boy game on a screen where you can hardly see the screen, a tiny wee screen? It's got flickering when you can play it on a modern console. You know what I mean? All right. I don't think I've ever actually played this.
If I spin it is really bloody hard. I'll spin it through so we can actually see some of the levels. But it's a 3D one.
Ah, is it? Right.
Well, for some of it.
I've never actually that.
There we go. So you have a look at the graphics. I mean, the graphics are absolutely amazing, but this one, as far as I can tell, now it plays at 100%. It's going to look a bit ropey because I've got scan lines on. But it's beautiful, but it's so bloody hard.
I'll let you give that. You know, I can see where. Have you ever played the best Gradius game, in my opinion, is the Gradius 5 in the piece. What is it called? PlayStation 2.
Gradius Gaiden.
Sorry?
Is it called Gradius Gaiden or is it just called Gradius 5?
Gradius 5. Have you never got it? Have you never played it before?
Yeah, I've got Gradius Gaiden on the PlayStation. I don't know if I've got Gradius 5.
Oh, Gradius 5. I've got it up there somewhere. Just trying to see. Yeah, Gradius 5. It's just absolutely astonishing. Have you never played it on the PlayStation 2?
I might have done. It's just one of them things I'm trying. I've played so many bloody Gradius games. No, not the PlayStation 2. I think Gradius Gaiden, the one I've got, is a PS1 game. So no, I haven't played 5.
Wait a minute. Let me see if I can. It's an absolute stonking game. Right, here we go. This is a very early video. Hello, welcome to another Make Myself Race 10-minute mashup. Hey,
Yeah.
Tonight's game is, or today's game I should say, it's one of my favourite PS2 games. It's called Gradius 5. Anybody that knows their shoot 'em ups will know that the Gradius series.
That's a blast in the past, bloody 2014. Jesus,
series,
that's 5 years ago.
And in my opinion, this version is just amazing, absolutely amazing. I don't know if you've never seen this game, prepare to be amazed.
It's worth buying a PlayStation 2 just to play this game.
Fairly easy to pick up.
That good.
It's just
I've still got a PlayStation 2.
Hang on.
I've played shooters on the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360.
Turn it down a wee bit.
But in my mind, this is nothing's come close.
Man, this is an astonishing game. I don't know why it never came out in anything else, but
Stunning game.
well, I don't know how far I get into it. Hang on,
Why do you sound a lot deeper on that video?
Action.
I don't know. It's probably just my shit mic. And that's when I used to point the camera at the TV. That's why it's squint. That's the famous Mainmeister squint cam.
Whoa!
It's just absolutely beautiful.
The way you see this, I mean, it looks HD. It really does. It'll not come across in this video, but it's just it's going a bit blunt.
Yeah, I have to get hold of that. I have still got a PlayStation 2.
Well, put it this way, I actually bought it. Where the hell is it? I bought it I was doing it one of these Play Blackpool events a couple of years ago, and I think it was 25 quid, and I bought it. It's that good a game. It's just an awesome game.
It's absolutely vital that you get the speed and the...
Yeah, I just realised I've had all them scan lines over my Chinese Radius 4. I've got a completely different install of mine. With the scan lines turned off for recording videos, I probably should have used that. I'm still new at this.
Just try to fast forward to hopefully when I get to... there we go. I'm just going to catch up.
It does look pretty cool.
Oh, it's just absolutely sublime. Look at this, these things.
You know you're going to give half your viewers nightmares after the Radius 3 challenge with this, don't you?
But this, I know Paul and Moz are a big fan of this game. It's an absolutely staggering game. I mean, if I told you that was running on a PlayStation 4, you'd probably think, yeah, it is. That's a PlayStation 2.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Is that running on a flat screen or a CRT?
That would be a CRT. No, that would be a flat screen.
So that's even more impressive then. You think about PlayStations were made to be on CRTs originally. I didn't get my first flat screen telly until I got my PlayStation 3 because of HD support.
Aye. No, but it's honestly, I know you like shoot 'em ups. Go and grab that. I don't know. I'm just looking for it. I've got it there somewhere. Gradius doesn't matter, but yeah, absolutely astonishing game.
Well, I can test it out because thanks to some sort of almost customer support from Alex, Refraction PCSX2 in Discord. I've upgraded to the latest version now, 1.6. I think it is on Windows 10, and there's a couple of games that didn't work properly that work almost perfectly now. So I might get that and try it on the emulator.
I've got it in my Coin Up Next, and it does run really well.
Oh, nice. Oh, mate, I'm surprised he weren't laughing at me. Earlier this week or last week, I was trying to test some stuff out, and it was when I first installed it and I had this monitor on. I tried playing the new PlayStation, and the sound was fucking awful. It was like really distorting, and it sounded terrible. And I was going through all these settings, and I couldn't work out what I was doing. So I reached out on Discord to Alex, and I was like, "Man, what's going on? Why is this happening?" And he spent about an hour going through all these options with me, all these different messages backwards and forwards. You know what happened? When I plugged this little monitor in, the computer decided, he wants his sound through his screens now, so it put the sound out through the HDMI and the telly. But the thing is, because I've got 5 speakers, it sounded like it was all coming out the centre speaker, not the telly behind it. And all I had to do was just change the output on Windows of the sound thing. What 2 mouse clicks to change it back to Realtek audio rather than LG telly, and I had instant surround sound. But I felt like a right prick afterwards. But bless him, he spent all that time trying to help me, and it was him that said, "Try another emulator." I went, "Well, shall I try some music?" He went, "Yeah." And then as soon as I tried the music, I realised, hang on, that's not right. And then I realised what happened.
I'll tell you one thing. You're talking about Alex helping you. I mean, I've met Alex. Alex came up to the Edinburgh Festival with his girlfriend, and he came through to Livingston, and we went out for a bite to eat. Damn nice guy. I've got to say, I think Discord, it's the channel, the Main Meister channel has really started to grow into a right nice community.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few people in there. There's a few new people that have come in via Lewis that have started taking part, and they all seem all right. But I think there's about there's a small group that post constantly. You know, you've got Colin, got Wee Bob, Lewis himself, me.
Is it Flandau?
Yeah,
I think.
Craig. Yeah, that's Craig.
Boy.
Yeah, Paulie Mars, Sick Boy.
Craig Flanagan.
The cosign. Yeah. There's. I mean, I've obviously the oldie gamer Steve.
You know,
there's a core of about 10 to 20 people that are constantly posting every day. Now I wake up, turn my phone on. There's something to read on Discord and stuff like that. It's good.
And you know what I like about that is, I mean, I was a member of Yak Yak, which was a Jeff Minter forum from early, when would it be, 1999 up until about, I don't know, 2005, and then I moved across to this other website, We Are the Rodent, in 2005, and I was actively into that until about 2 years ago. And it's just the forum was a video games forum. We all grew up around video games, and you know, we did like a video game online magazine. And then a couple of times when I started up YouTube, I was like sharing. I just, in case anyone's interested, I've started up a wee YouTube channel all about games, and I think I was lucky if there was like one person even acknowledged that, and I thought, fucking hell. And then I was kind of watching what was going on. I thought, there's no games discussed in it anymore. It's completely, and I just realised, I thought, nah, there's nothing there for me. You know, and that's what happens. It's like a pub. It's like a pub that's, in the early days it's great, and then after a while it just becomes something different. But what I missed about that was if I had a technical issue or just something daft, I want to get a new mortgage, does anybody know that somewhere, I mean, you're not going to post on Facebook, or some people might. I wouldn't post on Facebook, you know, something like that. And so I miss having that kind of go-to place where I've got my geeky nerdy mates that I can ask about something. And I think that Discord thing's now kind of starting to fill a hole for that. It's somewhere. I mean, there's a perfect example. The older gamer Steve bought a Next that he fucked it within 24 hours, and then a quick message to Jim Bagley, and then I relayed it back to Steve, and Steve got his Next working again.
Yeah, it's great. But while we're on the subject of that, a couple of requests, because even though you've made me a moderator, I don't think I can add channels. They want a for sale channel because Steve wants to sell his GPDXD, and he was saying earlier on he doesn't do CEX or cash converters or whatever. Would eBay be the best place? And I'm like, well, I don't want it because I've got one, but why don't you ask everyone on here first? Because you're more likely to get someone honest on here.
Absolutely.
And so we need a for sale channel. And also, apparently, your system of having a different room for every subject is confusing Alex. So he wants one announcements channel where you announce all your videos so you don't get lost. And I am taking the piss out of him with that as well.
Right, that's fine. I think, I had that. Yeah, that's fair enough. So should I just delete the other ones then, I take it?
No, because they're good for discussing it. But if you have one for announcements where, I've just put out a such and such video, or, you know, like on a Sunday when I say to everyone, and we're live, I can put it in the announcements, and then the live stream room can be used like afterwards. Like Del will normally come in there. He's another one that's on there a lot. Del will come in and say, that was really good. Did you see such and such? I was laughing when Alan fell off that platform and all this sort of stuff. And that's a good place to discuss it afterwards. But yeah, definitely a for sale and an announcements one, just for you to announce your videos.
Aye, not got a problem. I did do, was it somebody was wanting a Linux one, which I've done. Don't know if it's getting used.
I know my Linux from my elbow, so I wouldn't have.
Fuck knows, I don't know either. Somebody was also going on about, is it the joins, but can I share that so everybody else can see it? I've gone into it and I can't see anywhere where it's saying that it's not shared. I mean, if I click on it, it'll tell you whoever's joined the channel.
Now, let me see if I can open up Discord. I'll show you what we see as not being the owners.
Well, what I'll do is I can let you.
Well, I've got to wait for it to Discord on the computer takes bloody ages. Right, let me shut that. I'll share a tab rather than a screen this time. Right, down here. Share screen. Application window. Discord. Share. Right, here you go. I've shared that. Right, so if I go onto your channel there,
yeah,
I click on join, even though someone new's joined, we've got permission to view the message history. So anyone on your channel, if they want to look at who's just joined, no one can see the history of the people that have joined the group.
I've not got a problem going in and let's have a wee look. Right, if you want to come out of that, and I'll share my screen if I can.
Well, you can just drop me out, can't you?
Aye.
Check in a minute if it worked.
Wait a minute, right? Hang on, I'll let you kick you out then, right? So, kick from studio.
Yeah, bye.
Oh, no, I don't want to kick you. Fucking hell. Right, just remove. I don't know what happened there. I was going to kick you out. Right, wait a wee minute. Application. Right, can you see that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so there's
the comedy channel.
Right, join. There you go. There's joins.
Yeah, it says to everyone that's joined the channel. No one else can see that.
Right.
If you don't ask me how to share it, mate, I ain't got a bloody clue.
Well, if I go to see, can you see that edit channel? Yeah.
Yeah.
If I go to edit, overview, right, permissions. I mean, members can change members with this person can change this channel's permissions. Members with this mission can create, edit, delete webhooks.
You just want to be able to see it, don't you?
I know, I couldn't see anything. If anybody can, I don't know, what's that there? See, I don't know. Need help with permissions, integrations, webhooks.
See, I use Discord on my phone more than I use it on the computer. I only put it on the computer when I was sharing some files, legally, by the way, please. Well, I was sharing some files, and it was easy to do it from my PC.
So I don't know. I've no idea. I don't know how. I've no idea. Right. I don't know.
There's a channel we definitely need. NSFW, not safe for work channel. We should definitely have one of them on your Discord.
Right, well, I'll tell you what
from WhatsApp, I could feel that.
Right, here, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to chat room, create a chat room, and what were we going to call it? Stuff for sale?
Stuff for sale.
Oh.
Sell your shit. Is that
right.
What yeah.
Sell your shit, and what was it? Announcements?
Announcements, yeah. Main Meister announcements, I would probably call it. So just for you to announce your stuff.
You can't type in capitals. Right, okay. I think there's. There you go. Main Meister announcements. Sell your shit. The Steam channel. All right, okay. Does that get used? I don't know. A few people use it. The Friday Waffle channel. Oh yeah, that was the Friday Waffle future topics. Yeah, that's fine. Main Meister Chums Talk Pish. 12-hour live stream. I want to keep that there for posterity anyway, because that was a special day.
Yeah.
Make us smile. Show us yours. Yeah. Music. Future video suggestions. live streams, 8-bit kerfuffle. Technically, I could
Well,
get
you could, but we use them to discuss it after the events.
okay, so you want it kept then, yeah. Console, 8-bit computers, arcade games. I think that's pretty much it. And you've got general.
One from every food group, mate.
What's that?
One from every food group.
One for every. What did you say? Food group.
One from every food group. It's a saying a mate of mine says when he's got a lot of stuff from one thing. He goes, "Oh, one from every food group." Just makes me laugh.
So, what have you been doing this week, gaming wise? Oh, I think we already discussed that in the Chumstock Pish, did we not? Eh?
Well, we did, yeah. I've played a bit of Elite. I finished off playing Sam's Journey. It says in the video, it says I've had it for a week, but I started doing the voiceover a couple of weeks back, so I did only have it for a week. But by the time I rendered the video out, I was like, oh no, I'm leaving that. Because when I did that, I had only had it for a week. So you know what it's like when you're doing videos.
The game, eh?
Well, so I've been at home a lot. I've been at home all this week again. Been cooking the missus dinner every night when she gets in from work. So we work at the same place, and she's a sewing machinist, so all the girls have been in working, and we done all the cutting last week and the week before because our order book's not very full at the moment. We're kind of doing it in stops and starts. So well, it's better than not having a job. I like it there anyway, so we do some pretty good stuff there. They're making me admin of the website. I won't get any extra money, but it means if they really piss me off, I can fuck about. We just had a brand new funky website done, so which is better than the old one. And the logo on there is a logo I designed a few years ago for the company, so that's quite cool. Yeah, gaming wise, it really has been Elite and that. And I've been talking to Mr. Lucosa late at night a couple of times this week, and we've been talking about music and that we like. And there's a couple of bands I used to listen to. King Diamond, which is like an acquired taste metal band, but I like them. And Bolt Thrower, a proper growly death metal, heavy as they come, death metal band from England. And they're two bands that I hadn't listened to for years and I forgot about. And I was talking to Chris about it. It's like, oh, I forgot about them. So I've been listening to a lot of really heavy music this week from the stuff we've been talking to. So,
Can I share MP3s in this thing?
In where?
In this stream, can I share audio sound?
I don't know. Can you? What is it you want to share? Are you going to break copyright law?
I want to let you hear. Some music. I can remember.
Will you get copyright flagged for playing it? That's the only thing.
Unlikely. Let's see if I can bloody well find it first. Here we go. Right. I want you to. Right. Okay. I'm going to play one and see. I'm going to turn the sound down and then actually, if I turn the sound down on my speakers. Oh, wait a minute. Right. Let me just play one. I can't. I'm going to just turn it up.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
Yeah. I think the sound's killing it off. It's sort of up and down.
What's that?
I think the sound's killing it off a bit. It's kind of going up and down where the
Hang on, I'll just
trying to compensate.
Sorry, when I was trying to turn you up, it was turning the sound up. Do you know who that is? You're not going to.
Could have been a bit fishy.
You're not going to know. You actually mentioned him earlier on. I think he's bass guitar. It's his band. Alex PCX X2.
All right.
He's in a band called Secret and Lies. They're really good, really pretty heavy. I've got 2 of their albums.
Are they on YouTube?
They are, yeah. Secret and Lies. Alex,
If,
I think
if they're on YouTube, I could have played their video for you because I've got 2 screens set up, haven't I?
Oh, you could. Well, there you go. There's a wee little pimp for Alex's band, but they're really good. I've got them on I do play them in the car. They're really good. Just classic heavy metal.
Now, what are they called?
Secret and Lies. Secrets and Lies. I'm sure he'll not mind me mentioning them.
What was the name of that song you was playing?
Oh Christ, I didn't. I don't know what that one was.
So you're well versed in their lyrics then.
I'm shit when it comes to lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't know. I'm getting a load of stuff for a film. So I don't know. No, I can't find it because I don't know what I'm looking for.
Let me have a wee look. Have a quick swatch. I don't know if it's Secret and... Oops. Not coming up with anything, certainly. No, I'm not seeing it there, but anyway, yeah, definitely worth. Oh, was that them? No, that's not them there.
No, I've just gone to Alex's channel. I found them now.
Oh, have you got them, man? That is Secret and Lies, isn't it?
Yeah.
You want to share?
Yeah, give me a second because I'd removed my screen. Share audio, obviously. So if you get pulled up for this, it's your own fault. Helps if I click over here, doesn't it? Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
The other day, looked at me, but I stepped away. She had a red ribbon loosely tied to her hair. Red ribbon girl is over there.
Brilliant. Definitely worth checking out.
Now Jack inside the bar.
Yeah, that's good, mate.
Definitely worth checking out. Anyway, yeah, what I've been doing, I think I mentioned that I've been giving my Atari ST a bit of love. I'm going to try and let you see.
That sounds worrying. But go on.
Oh, you can't see it. Oh, get out of the road. You see it?
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Been a while
Ideally
since I've
positioned.
touched one of them.
What's that?
So it's been a while since I touched one of them. I sold my one in 89, 90, something like that.
Really? Yeah. What was interesting, after the main Meister and Chumstock Pish, what was it, this week? What day was it? It was Tuesday, wasn't it? Tuesday. We were talking about Defender of the Crown.
Yeah.
And Lacosa mentioned how the Amiga one's actually shit compared to the Atari ST one. And he's absolutely right. Because I was playing, I've played the Amiga one a fair bit. And then I played the Atari ST one, and there is so much more gameplay in it.
Yeah, the Commodore 64 one is obviously graphics aren't as good as the ST, but that's got all the stuff in it. The Amiga one was rushed out, so they had more time to put stuff in, as he was saying.
And so did they come out at the same time, but they just had to kind of rush the Amiga one? Is that how it kind of happened?
I'm assuming the Amiga one come out first, and then they rebuilt it from the ground up, just using some of the graphics for the ST, and then ported the ST version down to the 64. I don't know if any of the other 8-bits had it. I don't know if the Spectrum had a Defender of the Crown or not.
Don't think so. But yeah, definitely. I've been missing a trick not playing that one. It's got so much more. You've got like the sort of the sword fighting and that kind of stuff. There's just so many more kind of screens in that as well. But it's a really good game. But I'm absolutely crap at it. I used to be quite good in it back in the day, but I've just completely struggled as to how the best way to actually play it. But definitely worth checking out. And I've got to say the C64 one is really good as well.
Yeah, it is. I remember that was mind blowing when it came out on the 64. The fact that they included the jousting tournament on the 64 version and it worked was that was mind blowing at the time.
I thought that I played it for the first time. I was actually going to do a kind of 8-bit face-off kerfuffle, but I couldn't. Yeah, I played the 64 one, and I never got around to actually recording the Amiga one. But yeah, right. Listen, I'm just conscious how we're doing for time. But since it is a waffle, I suppose we better answer some questions. So let's have a look. Right, Panther UK is asking, cracking waffle, mate. Well, happy for the next crew. Very impressive achievement. Yeah, but we're talking about the next. I think, did it finish at 1.8 million or something?
Yeah, something like that. 1.8 million.
Fucking insane. 4 marathons, is that all I once did? 4 marathons, a Twix, 2 crunchies, and a curly whirly.
He's such a wag.
Yeah, that guy's a complete wanker. Right, for the next waffle, what are your Amstrad experiences with real hardware? I've not had much exposure to the system until last year when I was given one. Well, since it's your question, you can answer that. What kind of exposure did you have with the Amstrad, if any?
I didn't up until last year. I was aware of them. I saw them in like John Menzies and the computer shops, but I didn't really mess about with them as far as I was concerned. They was like an offshoot of the Spectrum, really. You know, they were, weren't they? When especially when Alan Sugar bought out Sinclair, the two systems are so interchangeable with the ports between them. It's like it's them two and the MSX are all very much of a muchness.
Yeah.
I would say out of the three of them, the Spectrum probably got the better end of the bargain because it was normally games were made on that and then ported across, with the exception of things like the Dizzy games. But yeah, until last year, I'm not going to give any names. One of the women I work with, she knows I'm into computers, and her dad had passed away a couple of years ago, and she finally got around to clearing some of his stuff out. And she said, "I've got an old Amstrad PC. Do you want it?" And I thought, well, CRTs are always handy to have. She said, she goes, "Oh, there might be like a picture of all of us on the desktop. Just get rid of it," sort of thing. So I thought, well, it's probably an Amstrad PCW. Was it a 1512 or something? You know, one of the old Amstrad 286 PCs. And I thought, well, it'd be handy to play around with. And if I don't like it, I know someone that collects that sort of stuff. So anyway, she opens up the boot of her car and says, "Well, here it is. Do you want to put it in like my missus works?" So she goes, "Do you want to put it in her car so you can take it home with you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she opened up the boot of her car and there's this Amstrad CPC 464 sat there with a colour monitor. And I was like, well, her name's Leslie, and I was like, Leslie, are you sure you don't want anything for that? She went, no. She goes, I was just going to take it to the tip. Ain't no good to me. And I went, that's not the computer I thought it was. She went, oh, ain't it? I went, oh, no, I'll have it. I said, but I probably won't get rid of it. I said, I'll probably keep that. I said, because I like 8-bit computers, and I haven't got one of them. She went, yeah, by all means. So I took it to bits. I cleaned it up. Her dad was a smoker, so I cleaned like a load of the tar. Well, it wasn't that bad, but it was a bit brown in places. Cleaned all the tar off, and it's as good as new. Even everyone on one of the Amstrad pages I joined, when I was trying to work out the best way to take it to bits, everyone was saying, oh, the tape counter's always broken, and them. Tape counter works. It's absolutely perfect, but I've got no games for it, and I've got a Bluetooth tape that I can use in my phone and my tablet using one of the loading things like Tap Dancer, but it's so hit and miss. Some games will load sometimes. I think License to Kill, the Bond game, that'll load every time, but it's rubbish. so that is literally my exposure to the Amstrad has been in the last few years.
But
I never would have bought one. I didn't realise that when she said she was getting rid of it. I had no idea it was a CPC. So I've got it. I've cleaned it up, but it's in storage because I've got nowhere to set it up.
Yeah, well, I had my exposure to the Amstrad. One of my mates had an Amstrad back in the day, and the only game I played, the only 2 games it had for it was Blagger, which I think I actually like Blagger and Amstrad more than any other version, and Steve Davis Snooker, and it was actually quite good. But the thing is, he had the green screen, so that made playing snooker quite difficult.
For those watching in black and white, the blue balls behind the pink, one of them.
I can't remember how it worked. I don't know if you could put numbers on the balls or something, and that was it. So, that was 1985 or something. I saw it briefly, and then I had no awareness of the Amstrad until about, I don't know, maybe about 10 years ago. And I saw one on whatever it was. It wasn't a Gumtree because that didn't exist. And there was a guy selling an Amstrad plus games. Excuse me, it was one of the guys at the computer club. So I bought this. I think I got it like 40 quid or something. I bought it for colour screen, massive big box of games. But like yourself, I had absolutely nowhere to put it. I mean, my games room in my old house was like half the size of this. And I could not afford to have this monitor just for one machine. And, you can't use the Amstrad unless you've got the machine. So I ended up selling it. I think I sold it for 50 quid, which now it seems ludicrous. I mean, I sold it maybe about 8 years ago. And then a couple of years ago, I cannot for the life of me remember where I got them. But I've got 2 Amstrads without the screens. So I bought myself there's an adapter thing you can get on eBay.
Yeah, I bought one of them, the breakout kit.
And plug it into my TV. But like yourself, I've really got no way of actually playing the games or loading games because the tape thing, I don't think the tape actually works. So see that Tap Dancer, have you got to load, is it WAV files or something?
I don't know. I just downloaded a load of Amstrad game images, files, ROMs, whatever you want to call them, disk images.
And
you just load it into Tap Dancer and it loads it through Bluetooth. But my Bluetooth cassette that I've got, I don't think it's loud enough. So what I need is I've got one somewhere, one of the ones where you've got the headphone jack with a tape that used to be able to put CDs into cars with, like little CD players.
Yeah.
Apparently they work a lot better because they're louder. So I'll have to dig that out and try it. But I've got the same issue with my Specky 128. Well, I don't need to play Attic Attack on there anymore because you can argue about it amongst yourselves. There's a superior version that's come out on the 64. Now, I don't care what anyone says, it is better. But, Attic Attack, Wheelie, and 3D Star Strike, and 3D Death Chase were a few games that I really used to like on the Specky before I got rid of it and got my 64. So I've got all the game files for them, but it was really hit and miss. I think Wheelie loads up perhaps 5 times out of 10, and the others are just the same. It's just really hit and miss. So I need to either get me other tape out that's got the lead on it, or I need to get some. Thing is out, I'm not going to use it enough to warrant spending 30 to 60 quid on a gadget to put in the back to use an SD card, because unless I win the lottery and I buy a massive house where I can take a whole room up like you have and have everything set up, then there's just no point. That's why I bought the breakout kit for the Amstrad. Also bought the kit for the Spectrum as well. That Spectrum only cost me 25 quid. I joke about it costing me a penny, but I paid 25 quid for a perfectly working 128 plus 2, the grey one. They say that's like the most compatible 128. And all I had to do was clean it and just touch the paint up on the Sinclair logos. But it's having somewhere to set them up. You know, so I'll plug them into the telly for 5 minutes, but then I've got to do it, put all the stuff back in the boxes. I keep all the computers that I've cleaned in plastic bags now, so they don't get full of dust and that. And it just goes back in the cupboard, and I can't be asked to set it up. I'm lazy sometimes. Sometimes I can't be asked to take the cover off my 64. It's easier to use emulator.
See, any time if I wanted to play a 64, I've got one sitting underneath that TV, I would always use it. So I was playing this week. I was playing the ST and playing the C64. It's just fantastic sitting there with a proper machine with a proper joystick, and you've got all these games at your disposal. And I'm a sad get, because sometimes I'll load the tape image and I'll just sit and I was playing Daley Thompson's Decathlon. I just sat and listened to the loading music and let it load in real time. You know what I mean? Brilliant.
Oh, I do that on the C64 Mini. I've got tape files on there. I'll let it load a tape up. But Parallax is not the same without Ocean Loader 2 before you start.
And it actually makes you play the game longer, because you've had to wait 10 minutes for it to load. That's an exaggeration. Games did not take 10 minutes to load. Maybe 2 or 3 minutes, possibly.
Yeah.
If you've got to wait 2 or 3 minutes, you're more inclined to play it. Or put it this way, you're more inclined to not load a pish game. I mean, I'm not going to load a shit game on tape. If I load a game on tape, it's a game that I want to play. And
I'm surrounded by 64s, mate. I've got this phone's got Robert Broglier's C64.mu on it.
Yeah.
I've got a GPD XD out there. The computer out there has also got C64. My arcade machine's got C64 on it. I've got 14 C64s in the house, one of which is set up. I've got a C64 full size, like the new one, set out there. I've got a C64 on this computer that's running now, and I've got a C64 Mini sat under the telly. I'm really, really spoilt for choice when it comes to Commodore 64.
Yeah, as I mentioned again in the thing, mate, I did own a C128. I mean, I messaged you on the day I was going to buy it, and I got it for quite a good price. Along with it, it was a Commodore 64, but I say the C64 didn't work, and the Commodore 128 was just too hit or miss. And again, the fact that I found out that I couldn't load any games from my cartridge, as much as I don't think I would buy an old machine. I mean, there isn't really any machines that I would want to own. I mean, I've pretty much got them all. I loved Ataris, because Ataris for me were the original computers. They were the original home computers. You know, they were out before the Spectrum and the C64. And I don't really use my Ataris, although saying that I have got one of these virtual drive things. But I just love. I mean, some days when I think, oh, I've got an Atari 800 in the cupboard. It's not getting used. I don't even look at it. Should I sell it? No. I just love the fact that I've got it. If I ever get to a point where I'm desperate for money or whatever, then I would sell it. But I just love the fact. I just love having it. What was I talking about? You were talking about all your C64. I can't for the bloody life of me remember. Yeah, but the C128, I wouldn't buy a machine now unless I could actually make use of it. And I realised pretty quick, I thought, the fact that it's a bit temperamental, sometimes, you know, two out of 4 times you try to switch it on, it wouldn't come on. I just thought, if I bought this, I would end up just sitting. It would just sit in the cupboard, because what am I really getting? I mean, there's maybe, I don't know, a couple of 100 games that came out for it, possibly.
It's not even that many, I don't think, mate. Not generally. I mean, most 128s, the most common command on them was Go 64. So, I mean, I've got a 128 coming to me from the guy that fixes my 64s. He's not charging me any money, but we've done each other a few favours, so it's just one of them one of them things. If there's something he asked me to do, if it's possible for me to do it, I'll do it. He's a good mate of mine. And I've got that coming. I've seen pictures of it. It is a bit beaten up and needs a bit of body work done on it. But he said to me, it works. The keyboard works. Just needs a bit of my TLC magic that I do on it with my
nice.
My refurbishing of things. But this time I'm gonna have to do a bit of filling and body shaping and that. And I might have to try and find the correct creamy beige colour to spray paint this one, because one of the corners at the front, because it's like a long flat one, the 128D, and it's got it's like a PC desk, the old flat desktops you put the monitor on. It's like one of them. It's got a disk drive built into it, and I know the SD to AEC works on it, and I haven't got an Ultimate cartridge anyway, and I'm pretty sure the Epix Fastload cartridge works on it. So I might do a bit of a swap round of my Sid Effects board and put it in that and use that, because they're supposed to be quite bulletproof, the 128s, but I've never had one to try.
Oh, it's a solid machine. I mean, the original, but even probably the 64C, whatever it's called, they're quite flimsy. But the 128 is quite a solid machine. It does feel solid. So nice one. Looking forward to seeing that. There's something nice about getting a beaten up machine, and especially the fact that if you've got a bit of talent like yourself to actually kind of upgrade it and clean it up. Kind of before, and I mean, I've seen a few of your with you whiting the. In fact, it was a picture you did one of your C64s, and you had like before and after, and I think Lacosa and I both agreed that we couldn't believe that the C64 wasn't meant to be that colour. This is what it should be.
Yeah, I'll have a look while we're answering questions, see if I can find a couple of pictures. I'll put them up, because I do put a lot of effort into these C64s, which is why I bought about 10 to buy and sell, and thought I'd just leave myself 2 of each, and I've decided to keep them because I've put more effort into them than I'd get back financially if I sold them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Well, at least I know where to come if ever my 2 C64s fall over. But am I right in thinking that the C64C are pretty reliable and they're pretty good machines?
Yeah, because they integrated a lot of the different chips, like the PLA chip that always used to go wrong in the bread bin. That's been incorporated into a massive chip that's more resilient. They're definitely, out of all the machines I've had, the only C64C that hasn't worked is one that I bought off you, which was just a board on its own, and the power switch was missing. And that was the only thing that was wrong with that. Even the one you told me didn't work, was black screened. I opened it up, I had a look inside, cleaned any dust out that was inside it. I pulled a couple of chips out and put them back in again and pressed them in properly and blew some dust out. And that one worked straight away. So you gave me a really good bargain on that one, mate, because it worked. But yeah, I've found that they are pretty resilient machines.
Yeah. No, good. Right, listen, you look for that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on. Let's have a look. Del Boy, thanks Alan for the live chat on Tuesday. Loved the event and all the users in chat. Question: we talked about the time going by fast in games. What's the game that took up all your time, and what's the game you loaded at once and said never again? For me, what game did I play? Well, basically, what game did I play the most? Probably back in the 8-bit days, it would probably be, I don't know, international soccer. I think because I had so many games to the C64, I didn't devote loads of time to one particular game, but certainly, yeah, I would say international soccer on the C64, but on the Amiga, it would probably be sensible soccer, and then probably Doom on the PC. What about yourself? What games did you kind of took up all your time? Did you lose hours of your life to any particular game?
Elite took up quite a lot of hours on the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
Let's think. On the Atari ST would have been Dungeon Master. On the Amiga would have been probably Eye of the Beholder. The same sort of Dungeons and Dragons type strategy game. Although I did play Dune 2 quite a lot on the Amiga as well.
I love that. Fantastic game.
And also another one like that was out on the Mega Drive, but I preferred the Amiga one because you could use a mouse, was Megalomania. as a similar sort of game. Sim City was another one that I chucked loads of hours in.
Yeah.
Sensible Soccer, doing the management thing, that was a lot of hours. On the PC, on the PC, I haven't really done that many. I mean, I tended to play on the PlayStation a bit more. So Metal Gear Solid, I've sunk a load of hours into the Metal Gear Solid, the first 4 games, because I've completed all them at least twice, and they're like 20+ hour games. So,
what about like Command and Conquer and Red Alert? Did you ever get into them?
I never got into them at all, which is strange because I like June 2.
Yeah, well, I went for June 2, and then when I got a PC, I got Warcraft, and then was it Warcraft 2, and then I moved on to Command and Conquer. Loved them. I think there was Red Alert, and I'm sure there was was it Command and Conquer Tiberian Sun or something it was called, I think it was. But yeah, I loved them. And again, games that I loaded up once and thought, that's pish. Well, I've mentioned before, I think we did touch on that in the live stream, Street Fighter for the Amiga. I'm trying to think if there's any Commodore 64 games that I bought and I instantly regretted.
Instantly regretted. Oh dear.
I was always quite careful about games that I bought because I mean, you would obviously when Zap magazine came along, that was the Bible. No, I can't think of any. I can't think of any game in the 64 that I bought that I thought, oh, that's pish. Apart from Crazy Kong, but that was my very, very first game. So that's
yeah, you couldn't really avoid that one, could you?
No, exactly. So anyway, Dale boy, thank you very much. Highlander, thanks for answering my question. It was Lacosa's channel that brought me here. Keep up the good work, Alan. Ian Hunter, good evening, Ian. Hi, Alan. A waffle question for you to ponder. I always regret selling my Commodore 128. I read that question earlier on Sunday, I think it was, and that's what made me buy it. I always regret selling my Commodore 128. Have you ever owned one? And if not, would you consider buying one today? Yes, I owned one for about 2 hours last Sunday. And as I've already mentioned, I got rid of it because it was temperamental, and the fact that I couldn't use my Ultimate 2 cartridge. I had to kind of go down the rabbit hole. Kev, hi Alan. For this week's waffle, I was curious about a comment Steve Benway recently made, where he says he prefers making a video versus just live streaming. And since you do both, I'm curious which you prefer. I would say 100% I prefer doing live streams. I think the thing about it, and you know yourself, Panther, being a YouTube creator, when you're just making your own videos, it's a completely different experience. I suppose it's a bit like when you hear an actor talking about making a film. It's nothing like being on stage. When you're making a video, you're sitting in your bedroom or wherever it is, on your own, recording a game. You're overlaying the tune, or the voice, whatever it is. And it might take, in the case of me, it can take me weeks to sometimes put them all together. So it's quite a soulless kind of experience. But when you do a live stream, you've got the instant interaction. And doing something like this as well is even better because you've got somebody live to actually talk about. Are you still looking for that picture?
I found it, mate. I'm just working out the best way to share the screen.
Yeah. But yeah, 100% live streams. I just love that. I mean, my favourite video is probably the Sunday stream thing. Like this is so what is this? Is that the one that I gave you?
No, this isn't. This is one that my mum and dad found in their loft. I haven't got any of the really, really dirty, grubby, sort of horrible pictures on here, but it was one that they had in their loft that they brought round to me. So that's what it looked like. You can see it's all kind of brown round here, and the keys are a bit like brown. This one wasn't too bad. So what it looks a bit more brown in there. What I tend to do is strip them down and retro bright them and clean them. Now this is the one that ended up as the Sid Effects machine, so I won't bore you for too long. But it had a load of wire burns on the side of it. and that's what it looked like. It still had the heat shield and that on it when I opened it up, but it was actually, because it was in a box, like in a proper Commodore box in their loft for 20 years. You know, it looks pretty nice still.
So was that yours then? Was that yours, I take it, yeah?
It was one that I had when I had about 11 in the 90s when I bought a load, and I gave it to my mum so she could play adventure games on. And you can see how brown the key had started going.
Oh, aye,
How scratched up the label was. So that's them out in the garden in the sun, being retro brighted with the hydrogen peroxide.
How difficult is it to do the retro bite thing? Because I've always looked into it and I thought it's way too much hassle for my liking.
Depends how confident you are at taking things to bits and putting them together. Because, you know, when you pop the keys off, it's quite easy. If I go back a couple, it's quite easy to break these off if you're a bit clumsy about it. And then if you do that, you've got about 15 screws underneath to open up. And you've got to be careful they don't all fall out. And that can be a bit of a pain in the arse. I mean, I find it quite easy, but I mean, I'm an ex-engineer. I'm sort of mechanically minded. So taking things to bits, I don't tend to have screws left afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was them. That's them cooking in the garden in the sun. And that's a gratuitous shot of a Sid chip. And that's the same key. It's not perfect, but that's a lot of the colour gone out of it.
Yeah, the top left kind of thing, you can see that. Yeah,
and that's them a bit cleaner. And then there's the scratch label. I tried to see if I could rub it down to see if it was like a surface thing, but it weren't. So I ordered one from somewhere, it was either in Poland or the Czech Republic. Someone was doing them. So while I was waiting for that, I put it all back together again, all nice and clean, like that. And I was just waiting for the logo to turn up. That's it connected up to my monitor.
Fantastic. So is that your kind of workhorse then, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is, because as we go further in these pictures, so this is like a holiday snap. I stuck that badge, and that's like a rubberized plastic thing, but I thought it was perfect. Cost about £4.
Right.
And that's that finished. And then just when you think it's all over, I'm going to put another Sid chip in this. So that's the old. That's not the 6581 that's in there now. That's the old one that I had. It does work, but I wanted that in another machine that it come out of. So that was it. And that's my digital tape deck upside down there, and that's where I put the Sid FX buttons in. But yeah, there's the before and after shot of what it looked like before and what it looked like afterwards.
I'm just trying to look at my one. Well, I can't see because of that bloody big ST. I think mine's is probably more like the top picture.
But yeah, that's
nice.
Yeah, that's the end of it. That's what I do with them. I am going to find one before and after picture on Facebook. So I'll drop my screen out, because there's one that I haven't got on. It's on my phone, but it's not on here, and it is like pure filth, and you won't believe. I think it's the one I showed you and Chris. You wouldn't believe it's the same.
Computer.
The same bloody computer.
Yeah, you go and hunt for that, and I'll crack on with the questions.
You can go on. I'm listening.
Yeah, so like I says, Kev, yeah, I enjoy the interaction with live streaming. You know, it's although the end result looks the same, i.e. a video that goes out on a channel, the creation process is completely different. So yeah, 100% live streams. Secondly, I think I've heard Disney might reboot the Tron movies yet again, and was wondering your opinion of the 80s classic and then that new one that came out a few years ago. Honest answer, Kevin, I have never seen Tron. There you go. Have you seen it?
Tron's a brilliant film.
Is it? Is it worth?
Yeah.
Are you saying it's actually a genuinely good film, or is it just is it a nostalgia thing that's going on?
No, I actually think it's a really good film.
You want this shared, by the way, yeah? Or are you still looking through?
No, I'm still looking at the moment. I'll tell you.
I've never seen it, Kev. I've never been really one into sci-fi. I think about the only science fiction films I actually liked for the original trilogy, Star Wars, and probably the Terminator films, and that's about it. I've never been into Star Trek or Doctor Who or anything like that at all. I think I was too busy actually playing my computer from the sort of right through the 80s. Never really got into it. Right, and finally there's a sale on PlayStation going on right now, but one title I really can't decide on is the Sega Genesis Mega Drive Classics Collection, which has a mode in PSVR. Oh, right, okay. Where you're sitting in a 1990s bedroom playing the games on an old CRT TV. If I want that experience, I can just play the real old cartridges on a real old TV. What might drive someone to replicate this in PSVR? You know what? I mean, I've been playing Mega Drive games on emulators for probably the best part of 20 years. There's virtually nothing that doesn't emulate it. So I certainly wouldn't shell out money for it. Would I want to try it in VR? I don't know. Have you tried VR, Chris?
No, I used to suffer terrible travel sickness when I was a kid, so the chances are it'd make me chuck, mate.
Well, I'm the same, but it's fine if you're. The only ones that I can't really play are the ones where you're actually like moving about. You've got the smooth movement. I can't really play them. But so you've never had a VR headset on before?
No.
You'll be amazed at just how amazing it is, and that's. I mean, I've bought that. In fact, I think my daughter's taken it away. That headset I can use. I mean, that's why I upgraded the PC so I could play VR games in the PC. As I can play Elite Dangerous in VR, and it is meant to be pretty damned epic. One of my mates has been playing a lot of Project Cars, driving like go-karts and sort of 1990s stock cars. It does look quite good fun. That's all of Kevin. Thank you very much, Kevin. Let's have a look. One Switch, top work with the donations, 3 really excellent causes. Good stuff does happen in 2020. You better believe it. And that's a good point, actually. Yeah, £1,000 to 3 worthwhile charities. Fantastic. Question for next time. If you had a time machine that could only take you to one single year, what year would it be and why? And for how long would you stay? That's a great question. I'm sure I did answer that, but I think I did a question for the community a while back about that. What would your answer be there, Chris? If you could go back, we'll tell you what, we'll make it easier. If you could go back for a single day, what year would it be?
For a single day?
Be computer related, what would it be?
I don't know. There was that time when I was 17 when I was knocking off a 35-year-old. That was a good day.
Your wife doesn't watch my channel, though.
I
think your wife watch my
about a few years before I met my wife, mate. For one day, I think it might well be one of my old family's holidays, and my dad had a towing caravan, and we used to stay at a place in Clacton called the Tower Caravan Park, and they had an arcade on there, and it had APB, Outrun, Space Harrier, there was a Commando there, I think there was a Bomb Jack, there was a Pac-Lan, there was a Scramble. I would go back, and that first day I went into that arcade with a big bag of 10p's. Because that is a day I'll never forget, because I must have been sort of maybe 14 at a push, and I grew up in North London, so I didn't, until I started going to the shop where I used to have a couple of machines in. I never really got to play arcades like yourself unless I went somewhere special. So I mean, I might have only been 13. I can't remember, but I know it was like, there's an arcade. I've got a bag of money that I've saved up for a year. My nan had given me a load, and I'd saved birthday money and stuff because I knew that we was going on holiday. And I just the first day I must have spent, I don't know, it was only about a tenner, but a tenner's like 100 goes back in 1985, 86. I just went in the arcade with my little brother, and we just stood there and pumped money into the machines and spent the whole day playing arcade games, all the stuff that we'd had ports of on when we both had Spectrums, and then I got a C64. So we had all these games we've been playing, like poor quality ports of that we thought were the nuts. And all of a sudden, here was the real thing. and we had the money, and we were both up because I'm 3 years older than my brother, and even though we used to fight a bit when we were kids because we had to share a bedroom. Anything like that, if I was asked to look after my little brother, he was perfectly safe with me. So we just basically went off together for the first time that I can remember, me and him going off on our own. It was only like 10 minutes away from my mum and dad, and it's not like they were the McCanns or anything. But we basically just went in this arcade, and all I remember is just 10p after 10p and coming out with a massive smile on my face and not caring that I was a tenner lighter. So there you go, that day.
Brilliant. Now that would take some beating. It's funny you mentioned that. I mean, like, you always, well, I always thought, oh, buying a version, a game on the C64, that's better value than playing an arcade. But then, as you say, £10 would have been like 100 goes of an arcade game. And I think if I had an arcade on my doorstep, I think I would have rather have played 100 goes of an arcade game than some of the games I actually paid for.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what Luke Owen's done, living in Southend. Like
if I didn't have that choice, my it was only until MAME came along that I got to see 99% of arcade games what they actually look like. It's like, oh, that's what slap fights went to look like. Oh, that's what Commandos went to look like. Because I just assumed, well, I knew the C64 or the home versions weren't going to be as good as the arcades, but that was all I knew, and then suddenly being able to play fucking Rolling Thunder in arcades, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Right, is that your picture here we can share?
That is my picture, yeah. That is a grubby 64. That is a really grubby 64.
That is grubby. Jesus, look at that.
Yeah. But with a bit of elbow grease and a few chemicals, I turned that into that. Honestly, that is exactly the same machine.
Go and zoom in on that one. Go and let me have a look. Wow, that's what a difference, eh?
Yeah, a lot of effort. You can see them both together.
Aye.
That's where they've gone. Yeah, I mean that. When I do the retro writing, I basically a lot of it's making mental notes, but I make the outside of the case match the colour of the inside because the inside is normally unaffected. So the colour on the top of that case there, even though it looks a lot brighter than the one above it, that colour matches the inside of the bottom. So where the motherboard screws on, that doesn't see any light or anything like that, that's the colour it is underneath there. And that's whenever I do one, I try and make it match the inside. So that way I kind of think, well, that's what the original colour would have been.
That's gorgeous, isn't it? I mean, if you'd said to me, I would have imagined that my C64 looked like the one at the top, but when I see the one at the bottom, yeah, that's what it looked like. But what a difference, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I've that's the only one. I had one in the 90s in amongst the lot I sold. That's only the second ever bread bin I've had that's had the Vic 20 colour keys on it. And I've got a Vic 20 that needs a clean up. That completely works. My mate Adam sorted it for me. It's a German VC 20 because they couldn't call it a Vic 20 over there because Vic 20 or Vic sounds a bit too close to thick, which, well, you can imagine what that means in German. It's a swear word. So that's why it's called. All the German ones say VC 20, and that's what I've got. But that one has got Commodore 64 coloured keys. It's got the brown normal. Character keys, and the F keys are the dark grey brown colour. I did think about swapping them over, and I was like, no, I haven't got a 64 with these keys. I'm going to leave it as it is, and it does look really nice like that.
Yeah. Gorgeous, well done.
Thank you very much. There you go. That's the end of the slideshow, because all the rest are on my phone. But that was one of the worst ones.
That looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. Good stuff. For me, what date would I go back to? For my gaming, I mean, it's, there's so many happy times I had. I'll just unshare that, remove that. From a gaming point of view, I think I'd probably go back to the day I got Exploding Fists for the C64. For different reasons. I was young. I had my first girlfriend. My mum and dad were still alive. I just started working. But, my only concern was that I had enough money to buy a computer game, Zap, and have a few pints at the weekend. It was completely a stress-free time in my life. Happy time. And again, the big part for me is
this whole gaming industry, this video games thing, was just a brand new hobby, and it was like getting on a giant wave and just riding the wave. I mean, it was awesome being able to experience and seeing how things gradually evolved from, you know, the Atari 2600, C64, the Commodore Amiga, whatever it was. Just a brilliant, you know, the arcades were, when I did get to go to Blackpool, you know, walking into one of these massive arcades, and all you've got is this cacophony of noise, them all vying to try and get your money. Just an amazing time to be.
Normally Pac-Land at top volume, wasn't it? You could hear it.
Jailbreak or something, yeah. But I mean, there's so many times. But yeah, I would say 1985. That was, to me, the sort of quintessential happy time in my life when I was a carefree teenager. Didn't give a shit about anything, just about, you know, we're having enough money, waiting for Zap to come out, reading Zap from cover to cover, and then I think I'll get that game next week. Just fantastic.
Oh mate, you talk about Zap. That was one of the best birthday presents I ever had. I think it was early '87 to early '88, so it would have been my 15th birthday in 1987. It was in March. My mum, for my birthday, got me a year's subscription to Zap magazine.
Wow!
So I got a mag. This birthday present that lasts a year. I got a magazine from March '87 until February '88, and I think I got Heartland and Park Patrol as 2 free games for subscribing as well.
I think I remember Park Patrol being one of them.
Yeah.
I'll tell you an interesting anecdote. I mean, I had I didn't have every Zap. I got rid of my C64 1987, so I had every Zap from, was it May '85 it came out, I think it was.
Something like that.
And then I got rid of my C64 in mid '87, so I had every Zap, I had all the classics right through, and I think I threw them in the bucket. You know, fuck it, I'm getting an Atari ST, I don't want these. I threw them in the bucket. I've now got about 40 original Zaps, and do you know who they belong to? Well, you're not going to guess. Andy Roberts works for Thalamus. He was the.
All right.
Aye, Andy works. Well, he's involved in the new Hunter's Moon.
Yeah,
Andy worked on Creatures and Creatures 2.
Oh, nice.
I met Andy down at a gaming event. Oh fucking hell, 2004, I think it was. I'd never met him before, but I knew him through the forum, and we were talking, and he was on about. He says, "Oh, I've got a shitload of Zap magazines in the boot. You want them?" Aye, and I was getting a plane, so I got this kid too. I had to put them on my bag and carry them up the road, but fantastic. And they're Andy's original Zaps. It's got the door number because he got them delivered.
Well,
nice. He had a kind of half-hearted attempt at filling in some of the quizzes with a pen and all that kind of stuff. So I do think to myself about, I don't read them. I mean, I've got shitloads of magazines in that cupboard. And I sometimes think to myself, I should just get rid of them because they're taking up space. But they're too good. I don't want to sell them, but they're too good to just throw out, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I've got when about 8 years back now, my mum and dad wanted to have a clear out of their loft because there was a lot of my brothers of mine's old toys. You know, did we want them? Did we want our kids to have them, or did we want to give them to me and my brother, the oldest two out of all the cousins. So like I think my eldest cousin below us, I think her eldest is only like 10 or 11, whereas both my boys, one's 20, one's 23 now. So a lot of the toys went to them. We was clearing it out, and I found a box that had loads of Zaps in it. And I was like, oh, brilliant. And I put them in a box, and then not long afterwards, we moved from Hertfordshire to Devon. And it was only when I got back into it again from watching your channel, I keep blaming you for all my 64s. It's only when I got back into your channel again, I started sorting stuff out. And when I was digging the 64s out a couple of years back, I found the box that had all the Zaps in. I thought, oh, brilliant. And I'm looking through and there's all these holes and bits cut out. And I'm like, oh, they're ruined. What it was is loads of game adverts and fucking things cut out so I can make up fake covers for all my pirate games when I was a kid. But they're definitely my ones. And I've got all the tips sections are missing, and I've got a folder somewhere, I can't find it, where I cut all the game tips out, and I made like a lever arch file with all the game tips in and that. It's just amazing. All these magazines I chopped up that people pay lots of money for now. But
have you got issue 1? Is it? I know issue 1. I mean, I've got issue 1. I think I've got about the first 20 issues. Issue 1 goes for, I wouldn't say daft money, but they do go for a fair bit.
No, I haven't got issue 1. I think mine starts sort of Green Beret-ish.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a couple of late ones. I think I've got all the 12 I got when I was subscribed to it, and by then I'd started, you know, getting better money, and then I'd started work, so I was able to buy games rather than cut them out of magazines and make fake covers up. So I've got some that are in pristine condition.
But yeah, there's two. I don't know. One day I will need to decide, like, you know what, I'll just give them away, because the thing is, you can't really sell you can sell magazines, but I can't be bothered. I would rather gift them to somebody that wanted them, I think.
Well, if you decide to give them away, seeing as no one else is listening because we're not live, I'm going to get him. I'll Bagsy it first. All right.
That's a deal. Deal. Right. How we doing, Chris? I said a bloody hour. We're now an hour and 42 minutes.
Like I said to you, what did I say when you said an hour? Ha ha ha! Like that's going to happen.
Something like that. John Rand, good waffle again. My daughter is 13 and is a typical impatient child and wants digital games now rather than in 1 or 2 days. But I told her over a year ago that if she finds the game she wants and the digital price is the same as physical, then she can have the digital one right there and then. To this day, I've only bought her physical games. And finally, I've got another couple of questions. Milfy Swinbuckle, hello again. Mainmeister, question for next waffle. What in-game feature within a game took you by surprise? Something that you'd never expected. As an example, mine would be an Elite when I first purchased Tribbles and they suddenly started floating around the cockpit. What in-game features within a game took you by surprise? I'm trying to think. I'll let you answer while I think. I'll put you in the spot.
Well, the one that comes to mind first for me is Metal Gear Solid 3 on the PlayStation 2. That had a system in it of you go into a screen, you could change the camouflage you're wearing, so you become less visible on the terrain you're in. And the bit that surprised me in it, when you get wounded, you had like styptics and bandages and that. And if you got shot, if you wanted to heal up a bullet wound, you had to use a knife on it first. That removes the bullet. Then you used to use the antiseptic to clean it. And then you used to have to, like, if it was bad, you had to stitch it and then put a bandage on it, and you got rid of the wounds that way. And the first time I did that, I was like, I've never done this before. Normally, you just pick up a power pill or you know, you get an extra life later on once you do it. But this time, you've got to do it. Because I mean, also in that game, you had to catch food. So you had if you started on easy, you got a red sight stun gun, like a taser type thing. And you could stun people and you could stun animals. And when you stunned them, they turned into little ration packets and that. And you could pick them up or you could catch them in a cage. And you could eat the animals. That's why it's called Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, because the character you play is called Snake. And you can eat the snakes in it. And some are poisonous and some ain't. And I found that to be quite a surprising thing in a game that I'd never come across before. And that's on a console game. I was really blown away by that game. I think that's one of the best console games ever made, the third one. But also, it's set in the 60s. So even though you've got high-tech Bond-type like gadgets and that, you haven't got all the mega radars and that you had in the games from Metal Gear Solid that was set slightly in the future. This one, you've really got to rely on what you can see on screen. And for a PlayStation 3 game, PlayStation 2 game, they absolutely knocked it out of the park with the graphics of all the foliage and the soldiers and the colours and that. It's a really, really good game, but it is a playable movie. There's a lot of cutscenes in it and that.
Yeah, that's what kind of put me off. I did buy the original Metal Gear Solid. I couldn't even bothered with all the cutscenes.
Well, the thing I liked about it, the cutscenes were done with a game engine. So it weren't like some of the PlayStation games you're playing with men that have got like jagged zigzags on their sides, and all of a sudden you get to a cutscene, it's like a scene from Toy Story, and you watch it and you're back to the jagged ground. This
breaks it.
Yeah, they always use or Hideo Kojima always used the the game engine for his cutscenes, so it did feel more like a flowing movie. But flowing through the game has become the norm now. So
I remember playing it. I get bored very, very, very quickly. Games. I'll spend a lot of money on a game and I'll just forget about it. I mean, I remember seeing like the breath. The guy coming out was impressive. It was a technically impressive game. I think one of the games that again, was the PlayStation that it was like a wow moment was Tomb Raider, and it's quite a common one. People will remember it. Was when you suddenly see this big T-Rex, because up to that moment there was no computer that existed that could have possibly displayed a gigantic T-Rex, and just that when this thing appeared, you're like, holy fuck! It was just a jaw-dropping moment. That was a bit of a kind of I'm trying to think of anything like that in an 8-bit or a 16-bit machine. Was there anything that happened that you're like, wow?
Well, I mean, other than music, I mean, mentioning Parallax again. Actually playing a shoot 'em up where you get to land the ship, and then it's got like RPG-ish elements where you got to go and get the scientists and get the code numbers, then get back in your ship and find all the information out to get out the level. I mean, that was quite new at the time. There hadn't been a lot of games that had done that sort of thing that I'd seen personally.
Yeah. I think one of the wow moments in the C64 for me was Summer Games 2 when you do the triple jump and you've got this tiny little action replay and like the giant screen. Fucking hell, that was just incredible. And even now it still looks damn impressive. I mean, the animation in Summer Games 2, the animation in Beachhead 2 was just incredible. And even now I think it still stands up.
Yeah, I think the speech in Beachhead 2 does it as well. Just the little people. Hey, don't shoot me!
Hey, don't shoot me! Actually, I detest that game. I think Beachhead 2 is a poor game. It's technically impressive, but yeah, I'm not a fan, especially that stupid level where you're trying the wee guys walking from left to right, and you've got to shoot all the stupid things that are trying to kill them.
I've found a new love for Beachhead 2 since I did Sid Effects 5, The Sids of War, and I spoke to Roger Keane because he's Oliver Frey's partner. They've been practically married for donkey's years, and I said to Roger, "Do you reckon Ollie would let me use one of his pieces of art for my album?" I said, "I'm not getting paid for it; it's all free." I said, "The albums I do because I wrote an article for Zap sort of thing." And he went, "Yeah." He goes, "I'll ask him." And I got a message the next day from Roger, said, "Yeah, Ollie says that's fine. What sort of size quality picture do you want?" And I said, "Well, one that will look nice blown up on a screen." I said, "But really, it's just going to be like a CD cover for music players and that." And he sent me a really high quality scan of Ollie's original painting for Beachhead 2. So, one of my albums has got an Oliver Frey art cover. That to me, the only way that could be equalled was if I had an album cover done by Derek Riggs that used to draw the Eddies for Iron Maiden. Because Oliver Frey and Derek Riggs are the two artists that meant the most to me when I was a teenager and I was like looking at the paintings. It was Ollie Frey and Derek Riggs. So to have an Oliver Frey painting on one of my albums with Ollie's blessing is like that was a proper moment for me. So Beachhead 2, I don't mind it so much because I'm allowed to use the cover.
Good choice. And finally from Mr. Colin Jones, you've probably been asked before, but here goes. We all know what you think about the Vectrex, but aside from that, what are your favourite consoles and why? Or what is my favourite console and why? My favourite console, it's going to be a dull one. It's going to be... I love the Vectrex, but if I had to pick one over anything, it would probably be the Xbox 360, simply because there are so many, thousands of games. You can play classic games in it. Just the plethora of games, even now, still stand up. Probably the Xbox 360. From a 16-bit point of view, it would be the PC Engine, I think. I love, and it's a phrase that I've made up.
That was 8-bit.
What's that? Well, technically, yeah, we'll argue about that one later on. But yeah, 16-bit. It would have to be the PC Engine.
I love the whole Japanesey aspect of it. It's, you know, half the games you play, you haven't got a bloody clue what they're talking about. But to me, that's just the quintessential video game. You know, games are written in Japan and they're, you know, fantastic. What about yourself? Favorite console?
PlayStation 2. Probably for the same reasons you just gave. It's a PlayStation 1 as well, especially if you've got one of the newer slim small models. They've got a slightly faster graphics processor. Well, I'm sure they have, because the draw distance is shorter for things like San Andreas and games like that. There's just so many games. All right, there's a lot of shovelware and a lot of crap on it, but the good games really are good. I mean, I personally think the PlayStation 2 was the last truly relevant console, because you look at even the 360 and the PlayStation 3 and upwards, they're just mid-range gaming PCs now. They're built to do a job and they do it well. I'm not going to say they're rubbish, because they're not. But I think it was the last truly great console. I mean, the Switch, I haven't got a Switch. Both my boys have got one. It does seem like a good console. I mean, because you can put it on the telly, you can play in your hand and that. And Nintendo still do innovative games that are not just following the pack and do what everyone else does. But I still don't think yet it touches the PlayStation 2 for versatility and just the amount of different stuff and the arcade ports that come out on it. I just think it's an all-round great machine. The
That's why I like the Xbox 360 for that kind of same reason. It's an odd one. The original Xbox, which I've got downstairs, I've got very, very little love for it. I don't know why. I can't actually think of a game. You know, if I thought I had a good game in it, I would say Outrun 2. That's a fucking arcade port. There is no game in the Xbox that I would say. I don't think the original Xbox gets very much love at all. I don't know why.
Well, they're well moddable as main machines. I mean, you've got one like that, haven't you?
I mean, it's pound for pound. It's one of the best emulation machines. I mean, it's only something like a 660 processor or something. It's a really, I mean, it's probably about 20-year-old the machine, and it still runs. It does PlayStation games. I was actually playing it a couple of weeks ago. I mean, as an emulation machine, it's great, but from actual games, I can't really think of anything. But yeah, I know what you mean. The PlayStation was revolutionary. I think the PlayStation has aged terribly. Hence the reason I don't even have one set up, because there's nothing I want to play in it. I mean, I was talking about Tomb Raider. I wouldn't, you know, looking at it now, it looks god awful. It was a first generation polygon type machine. The PlayStation 2 just ramped it up big still, and I think that PlayStation 2 games still look really good. Yeah, the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, subsequent generations have tweaked the graphics, and yeah, you know, to compare a PlayStation 2 with a PS4 or whatever it is, you know, they do look like night and day. But you know, you and I were talking about it the other day there. We like our games to look like computer games, and I think that when it goes to the next stage, it's going to look photorealistic, and I prefer my games to look like computer games. I agree with you. You know, like the PlayStation 2, it was a big jump, and it's still, you know, I would have been perfectly happy had the current console was the quality of the PlayStation 2, because it's, you know, what more do you need? I'm not into playing online or anything, so I'd have been quite happy if we'd kind of peaked at the PlayStation 2 technology and never moved on from it.
Yeah, just more storage. I mean, you talk about the first PlayStation aged badly. Well, yeah, unless you put it on a CRT. If you put it on a CRT, it don't look too bad. And I kind of cheat, because I tend to play it emulated, because I can't be bothered. When I sold my PlayStation 1, it was chipped, and I had about 200 games with it. And I basically sold all of that when I got the PS2, but I kept the originals because of using them on the PlayStation 2. And I'm quite happy to emulate it and have the graphics up slightly, not ridiculously, otherwise they look too silly, but just so it's smoothed out a bit. And it's not quite PS2, but it's a lot better than PS1. There's a lot of games, Tomb Raider included, that look all right under emulation, because obviously, because they're disc based, the music's all there and that. I don't mind playing like that. So if I play a PlayStation 1 game, I tend to do it under emulation now because I can knock the rough edges off, shall we say.
Yeah. I suppose when you think about it, when I'm talking about like the PlayStation hasn't aged well, it's not a dig at the technology because it was revolutionary. But I suppose when these guys were writing games, they were writing games to be displayed on a CRT, and then suddenly, then suddenly you put a game like you put a machine like that on a plasma or an LCD, and it just exposes it. I mean, the worst one's got to be the N64. They just look absolutely shit.
Yeah, they do. But I mean, I've got an N64 emulator, and again, with it tarted up slightly,
yeah,
I still find on the N64 there's a lot of like flat, colourless areas where the PlayStation had like graining and filling in. The N64 I find to be a bit plain, but with the edges knocked off on an emulator, it looks a lot better. Like that big Mario head on Mario 64 looks a lot more. I wouldn't say Toy Story, but getting on for Toy Story, where it's a bit smoother. So they can be improved with emulation. That's one of the areas that, original hardware is nice. I've not got the time nor the space for it. But under emulation, you can tweak things and you can make them more how you remember them or more how you like to see them.
Yeah. No, definitely. Anyway, listen, on that bombshell, I think it's about time we drew this waffle to a close. So much for the 1 hour one. But anyway, just before I go, Sunday live stream, it's going to be, I think I mentioned that I'm going to attempt to play all the reviewed games in Zap issue 1, including Elite. I forgot all about that one actually, but I'll have a crack at that.
I mean, Chris would have ripped the piss out of you for that, haven't we? So
I'll maybe see if I can dock. So that's coming along normal time. What the hell are you looking at? Is he looking at a spider? Away you go.
Oh yeah, how is Spidergate? You said you told me you'd got him in a glass and let him out.
I put him out, but he's probably back in again. You know what happens if you've ever flung a spider out before? As soon as you throw it out, you'll see it just runs back towards the house.
I'll tell you what. Before we go, a friend of a friend, or a friend, I think it was my brother-in-law's friend. If he caught a spider in his house, he used to have a red nail varnish, and he used to put a little, just a harmless little blob on its thorax, on his back sort of thing. And he used to catch it and throw it out. And if it come back in, it had a red blob on it, he'd kill it because it had its chance. So he'd only ever kill spiders in his house if they had the red blob on them. Apparently, that's a true story.
That's an interesting one. Need to try that. Yeah, but so hopefully you can join us on Sunday, 7 till 9, and I'm sure you'll be watching my back as always.
I'll be on the door, sir.
Good stuff. Listen, Chris, thank you very much for joining me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. As always. Finally, thank you very much to everybody for watching it tonight. I hope you all have a really, really nice weekend. Until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching.